Hello, Andrew again. Now we're going to go over installing Git. Git is what you use to contribute to open source projects, and you're going to pretty much use it throughout your entire programming career, so it's really important. So basically what we're going to cover today is installing Git on Windows and then Mac. I'm going to have an example of Windows and then Mac. I'm just going to tell you it's very simple on Mac, but on Windows I'll give like a demo because that's what I have here at home. So let me show you guys how to do it. I'm going to get out of this. Go to downloads. I'm going to click on, just search up Git and downloads. This is Git sourcecontrolmanager.com. I just click on Windows. Since I've already downloaded it, it might be a little bit different, but it should be pretty similar. One of the cool things you can do is you can get the Windows portable version. So if you have like a flash drive that you take around, you can put Git on that, and then you can bring that around to, say you have a laptop and a desktop. You can have one version of Git and then use it on your different devices. So it's just going to come down here. I'm going to install it. The Git website also has some really good documentation on using it within here, like the reference manual and all these videos here as well. So now you just need to wait for the installer to download. It's going to ask if I'm allowed to make changes to the device. I'm going to click yes to make sure it has access to my computer. If I click on the little thing down here, it should open up. I might have to give it some time. Perfect. Then it's going to add the setup. So this is you might be familiar with the new general public license if you were at the software. This is basically open source software once again, and this is just a license. You can just press next. Then it's going to do some select components. So these are the components that you have. This is where it might get a little complicated. So I would recommend putting an additional icon on the desktop. And then you can also put it in Windows Explorer. Basically all that does is when you right click in Windows Explorer, you can use it. I don't really use the Git GUI ones. You don't need to do that. Large file support is good to have. These are both good to have. You don't need to check daily for Git for Windows updates. I wouldn't recommend doing that. You can just reinstall it every couple of months or every year. And then I would definitely recommend adding the Git Bash profile to Windows Terminal if you have that. Windows Terminal is basically just PowerShell, command prompt, and it actually adds Git Bash here, so you can open up Git Bash and PowerShell all in the same window. So that's convenient to have. Windows Terminal, you can get that from the Microsoft Store. That's the only bummer about that. And then all you're going to do is press next. Since I've already installed it, I can just press yes. This is the default editor used by Vim. If you have one of these already, then it'll probably be a good idea to use the one that you already have if you have Visual Studio Code installed already, or Atom. I'm just going to say Vim. Then it's going to say, what would you like to name the initial branch in your repositories? It can either be master, or you can change it to something else if you'd like. Then you can adjust your path environment. So what I would recommend is clicking on this item. You don't need to do this one, but this is good to have. Basically what this will do is it'll allow Git to be used by other applications. And then just use this one up here, that's the easier one. Use the top one up there, the Open SSL library. And then I would recommend just doing checkout window style like that. If you're familiar with Unix, or you're coming from something like a Mac or Linux, you can check this item down here. That can be used, the default one. You can also use the command. These don't really matter once you get past here. I would recommend make sure you have the default here. That's it makes a little more sense when you're just starting out. Basically what happens when you do git pull. And then use the top one up here, the new one. And then enable file system caching. And then you don't need to do any of these, and then just press install. And that will install Git to your computer. If you messed up on any of those options, you can just go back and click the same button, go through the setup again, and it will fix that. I'm going to cancel this since I already have it. But that's all how Git installing works. Most of the options you can just go with the default. They won't really affect how it works. It'll work regardless, so you don't need to worry too much about that. The next thing you do is that if you're on a Mac, let me present this. If you're on a Mac and you've downloaded Xcode, which is like the main IDE for Mac, Git will already come with Xcode built in. If not, you should install it with Homebrew. So that's just with brew install Git. I covered how to install the commands to install CodeBrew in the installing Python guide, so look for that for how to install Homebrew. That's basically just a package manager that allows you to install different applications. And then the next thing you need to do is connect Git with GitHub. So basically Git is kind of like the command line utility, and it's separate from the website one that you have on GitHub. So to add your GitHub username to Git, this is a very important step after if you installed it. What you need to do is use this command git config global. This will set it to the entire computer. Username, and then put your username in here. So for me that would be Schmitz Andrew right there where it says username. And this will allow you to set it up and use GitHub in collaboration with Git. And then whenever you're using GitHub, you can just use Git in the terminal and then combine that with the URL that GitHub gives you when you press the green code button. You can also get a really helpful thing called GitHub Desktop. It's really good for the more basic Git operations, or you can use the integrations within your IDE. It's very similar to using the command line, but it just automatically runs them for you. The only problem about that is that it's really good to know the individual commands, because those will apply to every computer, every IDE, and then also there's also some commands that aren't on the command line that you'll have to get familiar with from the using the command line. And the command line is basically just Windows Terminal or like a text-based environment, whereas your IDE or GitHub Desktop will allow you to use Git within a, kind of a GUI. You'll be able to click on individual buttons. Okay, that's all for installing Git. Hopefully that worked out. Bye.